retired.
Wow. We decided to do this a year ago, and it's hard to believe it's here. And after hearing that, I'm not sure how successful I'm going to make it through this, but I'll give it a shot. General Lyons, thank you so much. This is my first and only joint assignment. It makes me really wish I had a lot of more joint assignments. The way that you eloquently and passionately, I would say you set the conditions for the joint force, and all of us sit in awe and watch. So thank you for trusting me to fly solo out here for a while, and thank you for what you do for the joint force. And I really wish I had a whole bunch more joint assignments, so it's an honor. Thank you very much. I think there's a Hokie or two in the room. So, for some reason I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, and it didn't work out for what I think is for the best reason, because I got to interact with the Virginia Tech Corps cadets and the Hokies that are in this room. In fact, I see Mike Clark. When I was a senior in high school, I went down and spent the night in Chris Ireland and Kevin Norman's room, and Mike was part of that, who said, this is a pretty good place, you ought to think about going to school here. So that was 32 years ago. And it means Mike's a year older than me. But even before that, Ed Chamberlain is in the room, and his dear wife Allison. I went to high school with Ed. And Ed probably should have gone to like Princeton or Harvard or Yale or something like that. I dragged him. But I dragged him down to spend the night with the Corps cadets, and the rest is sort of history. And then Brian McCarthy asked me to commission him after his time at Virginia Tech. So all of you Hokies, Nolan, Jeff, and everybody else here who I can't see, who else is out there? I see Rob and Karen. You guys started this venture of love and care, and you've taught so many of our buds at that time what we didn't realize would be a wildly successful career, because I think pretty much everybody in the room is an 06, and that's pretty exceptional. So from the very start, 27 years ago, or 28 years ago, Mike, very cool, and it means the world that you're here. General Lyons did mention that I've had a fairly diverse career. A lot of people think I can't hold a job, actually. I tell you, I got to cut my teeth as an officer, as an intel officer. I got to be in close proximity of 4-star generals and saw what it took for them to need the correct information to make decisions. I got to be in close proximity to the ACC commander at the time, and then I got to deploy my first deployment to see the KOC director, Lieutenant General Pepe, or Major General Pepe at the time. And I'm grateful for that experience, even though it's not really what I wanted to be. I really enjoyed it. I got to see what it is to be a support officer, and got a really good appreciation for what it takes to support the operational part of the Air Force. In fact, my boss, when it was time to go to navigator training, he said I can't go. You're too good of an intel officer. And I said, sir, I want to be inside of an airplane. And he said, it's going to take more lobbying to make that happen. So that might have been where I got this itch to do what I'm doing now. But finally got to go off and be a navigator, and got to see the special operations side of the world, and that just made my thirst and desire to be a pilot even stronger, because now I was inside an airplane, seeing the guys do what I wanted to do. And finally, after 7 years of being in the Air Force, I got to show up and start my dream, and 8 years later, I became a pilot. I remember talking to my mom when I was a kid, and I think it was even before the A7 ride, because we were debating whether or not a 104 was actually a rocket or a airplane, a jet fighter. And I said I was going to go find out in person one day, and I actually got to do it. So I'm pretty grateful on that. But I tell you what I didn't realize, and I'm glad I went to pilot training kind of later in life, but that's when I started realizing that this is all people business. And that, you know, doing the mission and flying airplanes, that's cool and all, but it's the people part that I started to really enjoy. And as I went through my flying career, you know, I got to go to school, and my first real interaction of being the great part of the people person business is when I moved here to Washington, D.C. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in full effect and full force, and I tell you, there's about half a dozen folks in this room that were part of what I didn't know then, but I do know now would be a lifetime friendship, because we got through it together. Whether it was the PMO group or the trivia at Freddy's or whatnot, I'm not sure all of us would have been as so successful getting through that time if it weren't for people like Sean and Mike, and Tom and Todd, and Mike. And we all got to go do it at Freddy's place, which is Freddy's here. So that's what got me through it, and that's really when I started learning that this is the people business. It was the example that you all set as how to support each other, and I think we did a pretty fantastic job. So from the bottom of my heart, for the PMO crowd and the DC crowd, thanks for being lifelong friends, and I'm not planning on moving, so I hope you're planning on staying around as well. I am fortunate that I got to work with the Congress for 4 years, 2 times as on behalf of the Air Force, and the last 2 years for General Alliance. The professional staffers that I got to meet, BG Wright's in the room, Chris Mallard couldn't be here, Alexis Rudd I think is here somewhere. There she is. I tell you what these amazing people do on behalf of our nation is pretty spectacular. They're the smartest people you'll meet. They're as much of a patriot as anyone who wears a uniform, and I'm grateful that I got to learn what this part of the business was, especially from BG and Chris. I might have gone to the Hill and made some Rose Kennedys on some afternoons, but I'm grateful for that experience. But really what capped it off out of that was going to be the commander of the Bully Beef. Most everybody that's wearing blue on this, actually everybody who was wearing blue on this stage was part of that crowd, part of that crew. I'll talk a little bit about the 2 folks that you've seen either talking behind the mic or being the proffer. And I'll start with Eric Brad. So Eric was a loadmaster, still is a loadmaster. He was staff sergeant at the time, but I tell you, he could sit in my chair as the squadron commander. He knew everybody, he did everything. And when my DO, Brian Wood, and I needed something done, Eric Pratt was the guy that we went to, which is pretty phenomenal. So that friendship has obviously endured. And Eric, I'm still in awe, and to see you as a senior NCO, I can't wait to see him as a chief. I should have talked about my time at the 4th along the way. My squadron commander at the time, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Bender, and my loadmaster for my operational mission eval, now retired Chief Mo Moore, who, if you have a hydraulic leak in a 141, he can make one high-pitched, "We got to get the hell out of this plane." And he'll tell you it wasn't that high. But General Bender and Sue, so pretty much everything that anytime that anything is good has happened in my career, I've always either gotten a phone call or a handwritten note from General Bender. So you taught me how to be a squadron commander. The care, the passion that you had for the 4th at the time, the really trusting people, the putting all of the operational responsibilities in your DO. Jerry Martinez at the time taught me how to interact with my DO, Brian Wood, at the time. So for that, sir, thank you for being here. It means the world. And Sue, I think, I wish Rob could have seen you as a squadron commander then, but I think he might have surreptitiously figured it out because he was a pretty damn great commander spouse as well. And then Chief Moore, I show up at Dover as the group commander. Chief Moore is my squad or my ops group superintendent. So the fight and forth, and if there's anybody here from the fourth that I missed, I'm sorry, but that's where I learned how to be a pilot and a leader, is from those two leaders in the office. So for that, I'm grateful. But all right, enough about Eric Pratt. Soon to be chief, I hope. So the guy who's a narrator is a guy named Dan Shoney. Dan Shoney was a navigator like me, a little late to rate guy. Sometimes it takes a while for to figure out what we want to do, or at least prove to somebody that we can do it. But Dan Shoney came into my office one day. Actually, I was electronically reading everybody's what I want to do when I grow up. And Dan Shoney said, "Hey, sir, you need to hire me. I need to work. You need to look at my record. I need to work for you in your front office." And I said, "Well, he's either got bowling ball size what's-its, or he doesn't know what he's getting into." So I called him up and I said, "Hey, man, that's your desk outside." And that started a incredible friendship, mentorship. He plays a fair game of golf. He flies a pretty good airplane. And we sat around one evening on a golf course in Hawaii. And we talked about how things might get to be where he might be a squadron commander one day. And a few months ago, I was honored to be there as he took command of what is now the second year in a row, the Spats Trophy winner for the best air fueling squadron in the Air Force. So those are the type of impacts, those are the type of people things that I'm going to miss her. And it's that's what's made it great. Can't see really well up here, but there's a somewhat distinguished gentleman in an orange shirt with a beautiful lady on his arm. It's Brent Vossler. Brent and I had visions of flying together one day when we were roommates at NAVSCO. Actually, when we PCS'd from Randolph to Pensacola, we had visions of living on the beach and having more fun than I think we did. But I pitched out to go fly C-130s, which started my love for big airplanes. And Brent stuck in it, kept to his dream, became a strike Wizzo. And he, like me, we also took a while to get the Air Force to realize that we really wanted to be pilots. And Brent finally went to pilot training as well, and retired as a colonel too. So it's great to see you, and I'm glad to be there and sit next to Belly, who is also one of our NAVSCO classmates, who is also a colonel as well. So thanks for that. There's a few people from Dover in here. I think there's a few people from Dover in here. So I had a wonderful time as the commander of the Bully Beef, and I tell you, I think there's a whole row or several of Bully Beefers here, and I think Woody might agree that was a pretty damn good time. And that's where the impact, sir, that you mentioned, that keeps on giving and stays here. But it was our squadron, my mission, our little focus. But then I got to go to Dover and be a commander at a higher level. And so the Dover people in here got to teach me how to be a 06 commander. There's I think a whole row of honorary commanders from Dover Air Force Base here. You guys taught me what it's like to be a sense of community and have that involvement. And that friendship is something that I'm glad is here, and I know will stay for a lifetime as well. So for everybody who made it from Dover, it was equally an honor to be your group commander there. And I got to fly airplanes as a colonel, which was pretty cool because there's not a lot of guys who say that. So it means the world that you guys are here too. In this current position, I get to meet and work with some wonderful industry partners. Some of them are represented in the room. I didn't know anything about industry. I didn't know anything about maritime, and now I spend most of my time doing maritime industry stuff. And the gentlemen in the middle here in this row are absolutely true patriots when it comes to what industry delivers to national defense. And I had no idea that that was out there. For you three gentlemen, thanks for letting me either have a coffee or a drink or mentor me on what your industry is all about. I am truly grateful that I got to have that experience, because it's a piece of the joint force that I didn't know was out there, and I'm a better person now because I got to experience it. So, the last mentor in the room, Mr. Bruce Van Sciver, also known as a retired colonel as well. He's been my sounding board as I've gone through this transition and figure out what to do when I grow up and how to do it. Thanks for all the great advice. I am going to go do something else when I grow up, and I'm grateful for the mentorship that you've given me along the way. For everybody else in the room, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about the impact that you've had in my life. I know Ray is here. We knew each other. Actually, I knew Ray when he was a second lieutenant, and I was figuring out how to be a major. All of you have had an enormous impact in my life, and Rob came along late to this journey. And for those of you at Dover, I know you've had an extremely grateful impact in our lives as we started our journey together in the Air Force. But I do want to talk about a few more folks, either in the front row or whatnot. There is a crowd of my parents' friends that I'm grateful that I have gotten to know and now call them my friends. Whether it's Bill and Linda, or where's everybody else? Where's everybody else?
Donnie and Carol.
Yep, Donnie and Carol, there you are.
Marie and Jim.
Marie and Jim, Tina and John, and
Sally.
Sally, thank you. There she is. So I don't know what you guys are going to do now. There's no more military ceremonies. But I think they've been at all. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we're staying here. I'm grateful that you guys want to be a part of this journey as well. I also see a fair number of National Gay Pilot Association folks in the room, many who I met either in Palm Springs or here in DC. So thanks for representing and being examples for what you do out there. Our friends Brandon and Daryl, I knew Daryl when I was stationed there last time. They've become dear friends, traveling companions, and I think one day we might buy a condo in the Turks together at some point. So General Lyons mentioned the kind of my parents had something to do with my upbringing and getting me on this journey. So to my mom, thanks for being there all the time. Thanks for being such a great support. No more military ceremonies either to come to, since you've been to all of them as well.
No more baby boy.
But thank you for the love and support that you give me and Rob. And just a very small token. I know you can take these on the train as you go back on Saturday, but just a small token of these flowers to represent the love that Rob and I have for you and Gary.
Oh, thank you.
Gary served too. Gary was in the Air Force and everybody knows a military spouse serves as well. So thank you for what you done. To my dad and Linda, thanks for the tears you caused on stage earlier. The legacy of service and sacrifice that I watched you do as a kid and then as an adult and as a fellow officer. I'm grateful for the example of how to do it right. And I really appreciate that as well. So I do have something for you, Gary. It's just not as big, but I'll get it. So I have a couple of things for my dad and Linda as well, just a small token of appreciation for all the love and support that you give us as well. I forgot something at the beginning, sir. good friend of mine mentioned that you might like scotch. Just a small drink for the ride home. Two minutes and then I'm going to be done. So I mentioned that military spouses serve as well. This one's going to be tough because it's about my husband, Rob. We met when I was a squadron commander, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell went away, and he could start being around. And when we left McGuire, we had families wanting to have us over for dinner that didn't really know Rob, but they wanted to show how much they, one, knew they cared and they supported. I dragged Rob to St. Louis, and then I left him there when I went to India. But he stuck around, and we got married when I got back from India, because I wanted to be with the person that I love, and I wanted to have my husband by my side as a commander at Dover, because that's something that my entire career, especially the first 19 years under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that's something I never imagined that would be there, even the remote possibility. And I wanted to be that person on our org chart and have his husband with him as we served together. So Rob said before we got married and before we went to Dover, what are my expectations? As a lot of military spouses probably do. And I said, there aren't any expectations. You can do whatever you want. You can do as little or you can do as much, but there are no expectations. It's going to be weird. It's going to be, just try and enjoy it. And he said, okay. And then someone knocked at our door, and it was Kevin Gordon and his wife who came over, and why am I? Heather Gordon?
Heidi.
Huh?
Heidi.
Not Heidi. Heather. But anyway, Kevin and Heather came over. And Heather put her arm around Rob and said, I need you to participate in the Dover Spouse Group. I heard that you guys might throw a pretty good party. And we need you to be the social director. And he did. So not only did Rob not know what his expectations are, but I think a little bit of a kick in the behind by Heather, Rob ended up being the real leader at Dover Air Force Base who made the command tour successful. He spent the second year so busy. Second year he became the president of this Dover Spouse Group. So busy that he quit working, and he would do things like go and decorate a house for a family whose 6-month child passed away right before Christmas, and they spent so much time with their grieving family. Rob would organize the spouses to go decorate their house so they would have a Christmas when they come home from grieving. So yeah, Rob didn't jump in with both feet, he jumped in head first. And I think he had a good time. And I think there's actually more people at Dover that miss him than miss me. Just a small token of my appreciation and love for you, Rob. I'm excited to share this next chapter with you.
Excellent.
I'm excited to see what it's like to be called Mr. I'm really excited about that. Right now I only have one cell phone, so it's great. So anyway, I'm probably the only military person who uses Maya Angelou quotes in a military ceremony, but Maya Angelou said it's not what you do or it's not what you say that people remember you by, it's how you make them feel. So I would say for all you all, it's not what you did, it's not what you said, it's how you all have made me feel. It's been an honor and a privilege. Friends, old, you Hokies, you high school friends, and new. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to serve alongside all of you, and I look forward to continuing to serve in a different capacity, and it means the world for you to be here for Rob and me. So, thank you.
women and men of United States Transportation Command and the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Colonel Hall and wish him and Rob every success in their future endeavors. Colonel Hall, on behalf of everyone in attendance today, thank you for making an incredibly positive and lasting impact on each and every one of us, professionally and personally. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be a reception immediately following the ceremony in the lobby. You are all rising, so. For the departure of the official party. Afterwards, if you would like to take a picture, get pictures with Colonel Hall, he will be back in here. We'll first congratulate him on his retirement. This concludes today's ceremony. Please join General Lyons in congratulating Colonel Hall in receiving line in the lobby.